Our next segment is a joint keynote by both Irene Selia, she's the head of global development from Odyssey, and Alexandros Kaniklides, he's the manager at IthacaLabs from Odyssey as well. They'll be speaking about empowering CISOs in the AI era, addressing cybersecurity challenges for a resilient future. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
It is not the strongest, not the most intelligent of species that survive, but the ones that the most adaptable to change, as Darwin said. Thank you for having us here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Good evening to everybody. Let me introduce myself. My name is Irene, and I'm the head of global development of Odyssey. And along with Mr. Alexandros Kaniklides, we will discuss the challenges of chief information security officers here in the Kingdom and how connecting the power of AI with a comprehensive approach regarding people, process, technology, they can overcome those challenges, and at the end of the day, they can build an organization resilient enough into the digital era. We have asked 100 of chief information security officers in finance, in education, in healthcare, and in energy. And we have summarized their concerns. Threats are everywhere, irrespective of the size of the organization, the size, the complexity of the log data regarding the implementation of new technologies. We have threats, but how do I build a resilient organization that can recover and adopt swiftly? How about insider threats? How do you know when a user is behaving malicious? How do I ensure a robust measures against potential insider threats? And how about third-party vendors? If they get an attack, maybe you are next. How I can guarantee that they adhere to our cybersecurity standards and mitigate risk in our extended supply chain? So from what we see, it's not a matter if you will be breached. It's a matter of when. Alex, please shed us some light in the dark about sophisticated cyber threats that they are not using only traditional methods, but also AI.
Sure. Certainly, AI, it's a very hot topic. Nobody can dispute that, right? There is lots going on around this subject in terms of research, development, and discussions about its applicability. On the other hand, we have many leaders that are skeptical and have concerns about the usage of AI in regards to ethics, data privacy, transparency, AI bias, and so on. However, AI, it's here in many forms. So, in many cases, it interacts with the human element. Whatever restrictions or controls are being added, unless we restrict it in such a way to make it useless, threat actors will find ways, and they already found ways, to leverage it for malicious purposes. Gathering information from online portal, the dark web, social networks, for target selection or to find specific information about the target. Then, on this data set that they have collected, they are applying rapid data analysis in order to identify the critical information, the low-hanging fruits, the quick wins. Generating highly convincing email messages, professional email messages, in order to trick the unsuspecting users into providing sensitive information, clicking on a malicious link, on an attachment, and so on. Changing their attack dynamically, their strategy during the attack cycle, so based on what information they perceive in real time, in order to expand their foothold within a network. Malware that changes its code during execution and the communication channels, protocols, the IP addresses of the command and control servers in order to avoid detection, stay longer in the network, and achieve persistence. Spreading fake news and rumors about an organization in order to harm its reputation, cause chaos, and impact the business. Mimicking voices, writing style, even creating visuals of famous persons or an associate, a partner, in order to commit fraud and scams. And with the introduction of AI within the organizations, new vulnerabilities and configuration weaknesses are introduced and can be leveraged by the malicious actors. So far, we have seen that the threat actors, either internal and external or a third party, they are leveraging AI during their attack cycle in order to make it more efficient, more effective, and improve their attack in a way. However, so far, the end result remains the same. Either it's a deployment of a ransomware, data extortion, data theft, financial fraud, and so on. As Irene already stated, eventually most of the organizations will have a breach. So it is important to shift from a cyber defense posture to a cyber resilient position, being able to anticipate, withstand, adapt, and quickly recover from those threats. So organizations need to adopt a strategy that will include advanced security measures, staying informed about the emerging threats, and of course leveraging AI for defense purposes, adaptive security, pattern recognition, security analytics, so that they can protect themselves from the AI-driven cyber attacks towards becoming resilient.
Thank you, Alex. So, as we see, the main concerns of the Chief Information Security Officers is about the insider threats, the third-party threats, and of course, the cyber threats. So we hear stories about implementing technologies, but are those technologies enough? How about the people and the processes? When was the last time that you did a security awareness training to your people, and that was a part of the HR procedure? Or when was the last time that you performed a new process and you have applied it to your people, or when you have revisited that existing process? So the solution here is to revisit and rethink that cybersecurity strategy. How? By starting with an assessment. That assessment of the current situation, the analysis. So that assessment can be a penetration test, a risk assessment, a maturity assessment. So definitely you need to know what you have in front of you. So even if you need to comply with regulatory frameworks and bodies such as SAMA or NCA, those can be a good starting point for the assessment. A design of an action plan, but not any action plan, an action plan that is specifically for the industry and the organization that you serve. Also the implementation, the processes and the procedures that needs to be in place. But how about the evaluation? The evaluation can be the audit, the reassessment, and of course, the monitoring of the situation. Since we're talking about monitoring, from what we see based on our experience as a managed service provider for 21 years now, we see a real struggle of the organization to have a team in-house in order to keep up with the latest trends of threats, like Alex said, keep up that knowledge, and also be available 24/7. Actually, the main goals of the CISO, not only in Saudi Arabia, but worldwide, is to reduce that risk, to minimize the cost of a data breach, and of course, enhance compliance. Going back to a managed service provider, definitely that provider needs to have the processes and the tools in order to detect a threat in a very early stage and minimize that impact of the data breach. How we can detect that? Using a CM technology with behavior analysis, machine learning capabilities, AI, for example, an XDR technology with a combination of the EDR with identity and access, or even a responding to that from a forensic investigation team. But what happened if the attacker is already inside the organization? Is the game over, Alex?
Absolutely not. Threats, in order to achieve their goals, they follow a cycle from the initial intrusion to expanding their foothold, privilege escalation, and persistency. So it's very important to minimize the dwell time, the time between the breach and the time that we detect that breach, so that organizations to initiate their incident response process based on their incident response plan. More about post-breach detection, the information will be provided during our workshop today at 4.
Going back to Darwin, there is no option. We need to adapt. Since the world is rapidly changing, we need to revisit and rethink that cybersecurity approach. In order to be resilient enough to be able to anticipate, withstand, adapt, and quickly recover. So let's work together to make the world a cyber safer place. Thank you very much for your attention.